Hello, good afternoon. This is David Soto talking to you, and today is my weekly trade predictions for the upcoming trading week of October 7 through October 11, 2019. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all the major currency pairs and then look at different time frames. I'm going to give you I'm going to show you what has happened this past week, and then give you an analysis based on the higher time frames and try to analyze what is going to happen this coming week. So that's the way it can better help you with your trading, okay? So to begin with, we want to look at Euro USD, Pound USD, and AUD USD. These pairs have all gained somewhat this past week, okay? And we see that Euro USD had a steady uptrend, and Pound USD was more or less in a ranging market, but it did end higher than where it started. So that means it was in a slight uptrend this past week. And the same thing with AUD USD. Now, Australian dollar, US dollar ended pretty much where it left off at the beginning of the week. But we see that as a drop and then a gradual uptrend, okay? Now, if these pairs were going up, US dollars, USD pairs should be going down, right? And we kind of see that on the USD Swiss franc, for example here. This ended lower than where it started, but there was a lot of fighting up and down, so more or less it was a range of market. And that's kind of what I predicted last week, that this would be a more or less range of market. And we see that I want to look at Euro USD right now, and we see that we had this gradual uptrend, okay? But one thing we can really note with Euro USD is that we had this uptrend for sure, and we mark like from this spot up to this spot, we see that we have a perfect uptrend, okay? And if I shift the chart a little bit, you can see this uptrend perfect, right? And we also see that the price hit this high point, which I can mark right here, okay? So this right here is what I call a rising wedge, where you have the price coming up and then it meets a high point, it meets a level of resistance, okay? And if we go to a higher time frame like the 1 hour, okay, we see that the price has been going up and up and up for the past week, but now it hit this level of resistance 2 times, okay? So I call that a double top. So we know that this is a pretty strong level of resistance. And typically, not always, but typically what will happen is this price is going to range inside this area. It's going to come back down. Well, it went up to here, it came down. It's going to go back up, touch this a third time, come down, and it's going to do one of two things. Either it's going to break this trend line and keep going down, or it's going to keep going up further. I cannot tell you exactly what it's going to do, but what you can do is set a pennant order, set 2 pennant orders. You can set a buy stop about 100 points above this level of resistance, okay? And you can set a small take profit, or you can set a sell stop pennant order below here. And exactly where you would set the sell stop, what I would do is draw a Fibonacci retracement. Go right here, click on the Fibonacci, draw from this down arrow up to the this level of resistance, this red arrow, okay? And then where the 23.6 level is, this is where the price is going to break if it does. And all you do is set your pennant order, your sell stop pennant order, a little bit below this 23.6, and then you can set a take profit somewhere around the 50 level, okay? Don't go for a huge take profit, but you get about 100 points, maybe 150 points. That's perfect, okay? And either way, so what I think is going to happen this week, the price is going to drop, okay? How far it's going to drop, I don't know, but it's going to drop a ways, form a level of support, probably where it did before right here, okay? We have this level of support that it hit before, and this is at the 61.8 level if you notice, okay? So I think, this is my personal feeling, is that this is going to drop down to this level and bounce back up again. Okay, so we're probably going to see more or less a range of market this coming week as this price moves in this area, but eventually it's going to shoot out, because we look at the H4. Okay, all we have is an up arrow and no down arrow yet. So we have this level of resistance where the last red arrow is, and that potentially is where the price is going to be headed to. It's just going to take some time. It might take another week for the price to reach that level. Okay, and the US dollar has been pretty strong this past week, so therefore you know, it's probably going to be ranging, as both of these pairs are gaining strength, so they're going to be fighting really hard. So do not expect any big uptrends. I would, since the bigger trend is bullish, meaning it's going to go up. If we look at the daily, let me clear this up a bit, but if we look at the daily and the weekly even, all we have is a blue up arrow, meaning that this will be going up long term. Okay, if you draw a trend line on the weekly, all right, coming from here like that, then we see that this is our level of resistance, and all we have to do, once this breaks, then we're going to be going to a long uptrend, but that's going to take a few weeks for that to happen. Okay, but since we know that the long term is bullish, meaning it's going to go up, we can pretty much count on this to be, you know, going up. And I would be looking, even on the smaller time frames, I would be looking for buy opportunities only. Okay, we see we have this big trend line here, and we have a smaller trend line here on the daily chart. All right, and so what that means is once this breaks, it's going to come up, come down like here, and then eventually come up to this trend line, come back down, and then it's going to break again. And that's going to take some time. It's probably take a few weeks for that to happen. But if we go back to the smaller time frames, like the M30, we have this level of resistance, and we have a trend line coming up like this. Okay, so there's a lot of trend lines, like I showed you, and all we have to do is wait for this to break. Now it might come back down and then back up, but you know, eventually, even if it comes down, eventually it's going to go back up. The long term trend is bullish, meaning it's going to go up. So definitely be looking for buy opportunities only this week for EURUSD. Moving on to pound USD, GBPUSD, we see we had more or less a range of market, but it ended pretty much a little bit higher than where it ended, but close to where it started, right? But if we look at the higher time frames, okay, we have a up arrow on the 4 hour, up arrow on the daily, and an up arrow on the weekly. Meaning, like I said last week, the long-term trend is definitely bullish. Okay, so just like I said with EURUSD, I would be looking for buy opportunities only this week. Okay, if you look on the H1, we see we have a level of resistance. We have a downtrend right here coming down, but you know, eventually it's going to get broken. So all we have to do is kind of wait. If we draw a trend line coming up like that, we see we have an uptrend right here. Okay, so this is going to, what I believe, if we go to the 30-minute or maybe even the 15, there we go. So we got these points right here. This is going to come back up to this trend line and come back down again. Okay, I would not buy right now, although you could, but I would probably wait until price came back down and touched again on this trend line. Then I would buy and catch a long-term trend up, right? So if you go to the 4 hour and daily, we see that we're definitely going to be going up. So like I said, look for buy opportunities only, even on the smaller time frames for the pound USD. Moving on to Australian dollar, US dollar, we see that it's more or less a range of market, but we had this long uptrend, And it dropped in the beginning of the week and then came back again and ended slightly higher than where it began, but still looks like we got a level of resistance right here. If we go to like the 4-hour chart, we still see we're in an uptrend, right? We know we're at this level of resistance right here that hit several times. So more than likely it's probably going to drop and form a level of support. I don't know exactly where, but it's going to drop. And all we have to do is keep in the back of our mind that we need to look for buy opportunities. So in the beginning of the week, the price is going to drop, and then it's going to form a level of support. You know, I don't know where. Maybe right here, because that was a resistance that's broken, and now it's a support. So that would more than likely, this would be where it would drop to, and form a blue arrow on the daily or even on the 1-hour or 4-hour chart, and then we can buy at that point. Okay, I would not place a buy trade right now because Murphy's Law would have it that if you buy right now, it's going to drop. Okay, and we don't want that. But if we look at the higher time frames, the daily and the weekly, all we have are up arrows. So meaning this is definitely going to be going up. If you want, even if you come here on the 1-hour, you could put a buy stop pending order about 100 points above this. So in the event it drops, it's okay. All right, you could put a buy limit pending order somewhere in this area and a buy stop above here. So this way you can catch it either way. Okay, and I'm not going to show you how to do that, but the thing is, you can catch the price one way or another. Hopefully this will drop and you can catch the pips on the way back up, which would maximize your profits. Okay, but either way, if you're on the 15-minute or 30-minute, look for buy opportunities only. Wait for this to drop, and then once you get a signal to buy, like on the 15-minute, then you can place your buy trade and hold it for long term. Okay, that's what I would do. Okay, now moving on to US dollar, Swiss franc, USDCHF. We see that, like I said, this is more or less in a range in the market, and the price ended lower than where it began, meaning that the US dollar is slowly trying to go into a downtrend, which it has been doing for a long time. But of course, the US dollar is always going to be fighting back, so do not expect any big downtrends. Okay, now if we look at some of the bigger time frames, the 4-hour shows to be going down right now, but the daily and the weekly have different trends. The daily shows to be going up, while the 4-hour shows to be going, the weekly shows to be going down, along with the monthly. So, you know, like I've said before in the previous video, the big trend for this is definitely bearish. I mean, it's going to be going down. But as you can see here on the monthly chart, this has been ranging in this flat range here for quite some time. So the US dollar is not going down with a fight, okay, without a fight. All right, it's going to be, you know, fighting to the end. And, you know, we can expect it to go up some, but I do not expect any big gains. I do expect this to slowly and gradually form a downtrend. Okay, and if we look on the weekly, watch this. We could draw from here to there. Okay, these points match up for a particular reason. All right, and we had a trend before that I marked coming down like this, and that was broken. But now we have another level of resistance. So if we go back down to like the 4-hour, we see that pretty much matches up, right? And all these points match up. Now we had this downtrend broke and then came up to here. Now we're looking for this to be going down more. So like I said before, US dollar will run opposite to like Euro USD or Pound USD. So for this pair, US dollar Swiss franc, I would be looking for sell opportunities only. Okay, even on smaller time frames like the 15-minute, 30-minute. On the 15-minute, we see an up arrow right now, but wait for this to form a red arrow. You know, it probably, I don't know exactly where, but if you mark this right here, that kind of looks like a downtrend forming, and the price will probably shoot up, touch this trend line somewhere in here, and shoot back down. So even in the beginning of the week, this would definitely shoot up a bit, but wait for you to have a red arrow, and once you have a red arrow, then you can sell, and you can hold it for a long term. All right, and even on the 1 hour chart, it's definitely going to be coming down. Okay, so definitely, even on the smaller time frames, the 15-minute, 30-minute, look for sell opportunities only. Moving on to USD Japanese yen. This pair typically runs the opposite of US dollar Swiss franc, but not always. Okay. Now we see this past week that it had a steady drop, which is okay, but if we look at the higher time frames, we see that we did hit a pretty solid level of support, and it should be working its way back up this week. The daily and the weekly both have up arrows, okay, meaning that this is going to be going up in the long term. And if we draw an uptrend right here, that this will mark our uptrend. Okay, so the US dollar Japanese yen typically runs the opposite of the US dollar Swiss franc. So if the US dollar Swiss franc is going to be dropping, and I told you to look for sell opportunities only for this particular pair, US dollar Japanese yen, you need to be looking for buy opportunities only. Okay, so if we go back down to a 15-minute chart, watch this. Okay, we have this, there's that line I drew. Okay, and we have an up arrow here and a down arrow here. It's going to drop again, but wait until you have a buy opportunity only. Once you get this blue arrow, once you get this blue arrow, wait to place your trade, and then you should be good for a long-term buy. Okay, that is what I am predicting based on the higher time frames. Okay, so even now, technically you could buy now and just hold it for long term. Would not hurt. You could place a buy stop pin and order about 100, 200 points above the current price, and you could also place a buy limit pin and order about 100 points below the current price. Okay, but it depends on where it opens, where the price is at when the market opens on Monday. Okay, moving on to US dollar Canadian dollar, we see that the price rose up above where it started, and more or less was in a range of market this past week. From Wednesday on, for the last 3 days, it was pretty much in a flat range of market with very little movement. So that, indicates that this US dollar has lost strength and should not be going up too much further. Now, if we look at the higher time frames, like the 4 hour and daily, watch this. We see we have a down arrow, right? Meaning that this is definitely going to be going to a downtrend. Okay, we get a trend line, draw a trend line down like this. We see that we have a perfect downtrend forming. Okay, so now is a good time to sell. The daily shows to be going up, right? If we draw an uptrend like this, I know this is not perfect, but this kind of gives you an idea of what's going on in the market. But this right here would mark your level of support going up. So we can expect the price to drop down here and bounce back up again. All right. So even on the 4 hour, this is your uptrend, this is your downtrend. So for right now, for this week, the price is going to be dropping and heading back down. So I would definitely sell and catch some pips on the way down. It's going to be ranging up and down, but overall, we're looking to drop about 800 points. So you really can catch some profit. Now, once you get if you sell now, it's okay, but once you get a buy opportunity, then you can also buy and hold long term as well, because in the long run this is going to be going up. But you know, like I said, it's not going to be fighting. It's not going to go up a whole lot, but it will be going back up again. We have a level of resistance here, and we have a level of resistance here that it's going to work its way up to, and we have a level of resistance here. Okay, these are all pretty solid levels of resistance. If we mark that one as well, so we have multiple levels of resistance or support that this will potentially go to, and all we have to do is wait for each one of these to break before we buy. So if the price breaks above here, I would definitely buy. Okay. Even if it touches this trend line, it'll go up, but it's going to come back down again and work its way up to this trend, this resistance here. Okay, and it's going to break again. Now, this resistance here, these resistance might take a few weeks, so do not expect to, you know, hop on this right away. But for the immediate this week, you can sell now and then wait for another buy opportunity, and then catch some pips on the way back up. Okay, so that is my analysis for this week. Let me know if you have any questions about these currency pairs or any other currency pairs. I'd be more than happy to help you. And if you have not joined my Facebook group, please do so. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video for my private Facebook group where you can join that. Also, there is a link for my personal Facebook account, and you can send me a message there as well. And at least this way we can chat, we can discuss your analysis or my analysis. I may be wrong, you may have something totally different, but just let me know if you agree with me or what you think, okay? And I can help you. So anyhow, let me know if you have any questions, and I'd be more than happy to help you. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.